Learn how you can save time and tuition dollars with Wilmington University's new Dual Credit Advantage. Go to wilmu.edu/dual credit. Hipper than a hippopotamus, it is the Sixers Talk podcast brought to you by Wilmington University. Wilmu Works. I'm feeling the energy, Ben Barry. Danny Pommells here along with you. If I can say my name, Pommells, along with you. Noah Levick in the cut. He's working on some stuff for the website, and we respect his time and allow him the latitude to do what he needs to. But the Sixers are the one with the Raptors on the brink of extinction. 2 games left if they can take care of business after this Game 2 victory. Ben, how you feeling? 112-97. It was 11-2 out of the gate. Raptors were in front, and the Sixers just blitzed them, and this was pretty much over at halftime.
Yeah, the Raptors came out hot. It seemed like whatever Nick Nurse or whatever the coaches said, the players said in the locker room after last game or between on the day off on Sunday or before the game tipped off, got to them, and they came out prepared to play. I was like, oh, we have a game on our hands. We have a game. I was watching on my phone as I was driving home from the gym. It's like, oh, this is going to be a good game. I don't know what happened, man, because they got straight beat down. That was it was more like we talked before we started recording. You enjoyed the first game. I thought that was a straight spanking, and this was another straight spanking. And it's just, Raptors, pack it up. Don't ever say you want to play games 3 or 4 so we can move on to the next round. Just wasn't fun to watch and enjoyable. They just get smacked around. It wasn't good basketball on their part. So I'm feeling good for the Sixers to sweep.
Oh, you're looking for the sweep? Okay.
At this point, have you seen anything from the Raptors that said they're not going to be swept?
Well, obviously they were down a bunch of guys here with Scotty Barnes out, and they just didn't seem to have what Nick Nurse wanted them to have. They were up 11-2, and he's like, Nick Nurse, you ain't slick, man. Like trying to use the reverse psychology by petitioning the referees in every press conference about how physical it was and how nothing went the Raptors' way, and then trying to come out and establish the physicality against Joel Embiid. Like, you ain't slick, bro, using the reverse psychology on us.
Well, he had to do something. He got it from Phil Jackson. Used to do that all the time. Pat Riley has done it. Neither one coach anymore, but a lot of coaches have done that just to do something to spark a light under their team, to get the refs to look at something differently. It hasn't worked because Embiid lived at the foul line again as well as Harden. So, but the Raptors, they need something to make this a series because so far it hasn't been one.
No, it hasn't been, and everything going the Sixers' way. And, bro, apparently that little week they had of intense practices, of talking trash with each other, whatever happened there that they were able to establish has carried over here because they're playing they're playing these games the way they want to and establishing their will against this Raptors team who seemingly had some advantages, particularly during the regular season, taking 3 games out of the 4 and, really beating the Sixers in transition and establishing themselves, with these zone defenses and things like that. But none of that has even mattered in this game because the Sixers have really responded with some great outside shooting and just doing everything they need to get to these 50-50 balls and whatnot. I'm impressed by the way that they've shown that they can play as a team and play to their strengths at that.
Yeah, the Raptors, they're undermanned, undersized, so they don't have anyone that can slow Embiid down, let alone stop. So just giving it to him, then Maxey just showed out game 1 and has a lot of nice plays in game 2. As you said, going to their strengths and just exploiting the Raptors' weaknesses. If the Raptors don't get out on a fast break or in their transition offense, their half-court offense is awful. So it's just not working. What this series reminds me 2 games in is that Hawks team that had Kyle Korver, Paul Millsap, Al Horford, Jeff Teague, that a lot of people thought was going to beat the LeBron James team that year because they was 4-0 against LeBron in the regular season. Playoffs came around and they got swept. Like, yes, the Sixers got 1 of the 4 games against the Raptors this year, but a lot of people said this is a good, like the Sixers can step in it and the Raptors could pull this out in 5-6 games, maybe even 7. No, this is Sixers series to lose, and right now they're running away with it.
Bro, I thought the coaching matchup was going to be a place where a little bit of consternation, a little bit of dread, a little bit of uncomfortability might lie because of Doc Rivers' ways and what Nick Nurse brings to the table with his, some of his avant-garde, thinking things differently and whatnot. But the coaching matchup has not been an issue, and Doc Rivers hasn't really had to push many buttons. He's just playing his rotation. Paul Reed coming in and being a positive. We haven't seen DeAndre Jordan. You've seen Shake Milton come in and have a great effect, and you got your boy Tyrese Maxey really carrying a lot of the weight along with Joel Embiid. Here he is in game 2, 8 of 11 from the floor, 50% from 3 for 6, 23, 9, and 8, near triple-double. What's not to like, bro? I mean, I hear you on the sweep, but I feel like the Raptors, if they can get Scott Barnes back by Wednesday, that's a big if. But something that they're going to have something up their sleeve waiting for the Sixers as they head up to north of the border.
Only thing they have up their sleeve is the brooms they're going to give the Sixers as the sweep gets going. Yes, look for that sweep. Look for that broom, everybody. Maybe Nick Nurse pulls something out of his back pocket. Maybe he has a low spade up for our spades player. Maybe got a low spade in that hand. But right now, I haven't seen anything to make me think otherwise. Like Fred VanVleet started off game 2 very hot, and Siakam has had his moments. But through a 7-game series, I would be surprised if it goes past 5 at this point. I'm really seeing a sweep for the Sixers.
I'm not that optimistic. I picked Sixers in 6. I feel like a bit of momentum. The Sixers won't be as hot probably, shooting wise. It'll be up to Joel Embiid and the team about how they deal with, any adversity they face and how they overcome that. Because obviously, being on your home court, so many things playing in your favor. I feel like the Raptors, there was technical fouls there in the early going. They were trying to use Siakam to be physical on Joel, but that just, like you said, really lit a fire under him. And, he erupted in that first quarter with a playoff career high, I believe 19 points in that opening frame. And it was pretty much over from there. I thought VanVleet was a big X factor coming in. Noah, was right in mentioning his knee injury and how he hasn't, quite been himself and things like that. But, if he comes out with the confidence that he's shown here in games 1 and 2, shooting the basketball into game 3, it could be one of those contagious things in front of your home crowd. They're behind you and you're, backs against the wall. So I can see them taking this game 3, but I do feel like you make some good points about the way the Sixers have just looked a little bit unbeatable.
Yeah, at least for the Raptors, it's unbeatable. Things are firing on all cylinders. You and me have gone back since we started working together, 2.5 years ago, and how down I am on Tobias Harris. Harris
I was just about to bring him up.
He's had 2 back-to-back very good games back to back. In my opinion, probably the best back-to-back games he's had as a Sixer. If someone has a argument against that, 2 better back-to-back games he had, I'm all ears. But I don't know, maybe he's listening to the pod. Maybe he want to shut me up, but 3 for 3 from beyond the arc, 7 of 11 from beyond from the field, 20 points in back-to-back games. He's doing what we all want him to do. 10 rebounds.
Plus 23. He was
that's rare.
23. You got to love what you're getting from him because, it's something about being a professional, bro. Being a professional involves overcoming adversity. It involves, taking your licks and coming out the other side. And we've seen so many players wilt under pressure here in Philadelphia. Athletes from top to bottom from across several sports. I mean, Alec Boehm, one recently who's been able to come out the other side and how much the fans embraced it. It's definitely time to start giving Tobias some flowers. Okay, yeah, it's just 2 games into the postseason and there's a long way to go. They've both been at home. I definitely get that. But think about the way he's progressed and changed and molded his game to fit what the Sixers need. And like you said, 3 for 3 from 3, 20 points. That's all you want from him each and every night. And there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to give that to you. And, bro, you got to give him his props, man. It's time to to be thankful that Tobias is the professional he is, because a lot of dudes wouldn't have been able to shake that off.
Yeah. What, 3-4 years at this point, and multiple postseason underwhelming performances, boos in the regular season, him giving the thumbs down look, a gesture to the crowd, and he's bringing it. He's learned from past mistakes or past experiences, and maybe he's upset that, we're hearing those Maxey chants when he felt like he should have been the third of the big three, and Maxey came up and took that and blew the doors off because he's the third of the big three. But Tobias Harris is playing well. I hope to see a lot more of that so the Sixers can make a deep playoff run.
I think the thing, I know Tobias doesn't, he's all about Maxey being great, but something definitely to think about. Well, let me shelve that for a second.
Before you keep going, like, it's all about someone being great. Like, I want you to be great. I want Noah to be great. But when you guys be great, it makes me want to elevate my game on the podcast as well. Like, so you want your teammates to do well as well, but you don't want to sit back. Oh, they'll do well, and I just stay right here. That should elevate you to be better at your craft.
Hey, bro, and Maxey is the type of guy who kind of creates that, just like leading by example, and he is just completely unconscious out there, and it's just so crazy. And I'm curious if you notice, like, the dude is so swaggy on the court and confident and just brimming with swag, but then off the court he's just so humble and mild-mannered and just, like, oh shucks, you know what I mean? So I don't know if we quite can get the two sides of the coin like that from many other athletes, particularly here in Philadelphia. Like, he carries it so well, right?
Carries it well. He's what a lot of people, when they talk about just straight professional, him humble off the court, just always big eye, like, oh, I'm here. When he called friend of the pod, Paul Hudrick, Mr. Paul, things like that. Just love him. And I know a lot of Sixers fans, I would love to get your take on it, upset they feel like he got snubbed for most improved player. Do you feel like he should be in that list?
I don't. Nope. I don't think he should be in the list. I was talking to my boy about that. Think about the dudes that's on that list: DeJounte Murray, Ja Morant, and Darius Garland. Like, all three of those dudes were all-stars, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, Maxey isn't quite that, but yes, Darius Garland averaged like 17 a game last year, so that would be something I would think would hinder his case of winning it. But I feel like the leap forward, particularly with Colin Sexton being out, like, he was a hooper. The team was, the Cavaliers were in the third seed for a good bit during the regular season. And I don't think Ja Morant's an MVP candidate, so you got to put him somewhere. So I could see him winning MIP.
Let me throw this at you. Should Maxey have been in there instead of Ja Morant, since Ja Morant averaged 19 points a game last season?
I just and the Grizzlies were really successful without him on the floor. So maybe he wasn't, I could see him not being an MIP or an MVP, just one of those guys who got snubbed and kind of, lost in the process. Yeah, I mean, Maxey's numbers is hard to overlook the leap forward he took. I believe he's, top 5 in 3-point percentage currently in the NBA, as well as the scoring leaps and the percentage leaps that he's taken, between seasons. But I'm okay with him still coming in next season, have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, because maybe the league didn't recognize him as much. But, you look at Joel winning the scoring title, Maxey maybe getting slubbed for most improved player, Harden second in the league in assists. A lot of, people in the know lauding Doc Rivers for the coaching job he did without Ben Simmons and leading the Sixers to the successful season they had. So it's a lot to be happy about. Matisse Thybulle will probably be first or second team all NBA defense. Like, it's a lot, a bevy of success here with the Sixers team. And it seems like it's all coming together at the right time.
It's fun. It's great to watch it, just, as you said, all come together at the right time. MVP candidate, a guy that a lot of people think in the city should have been a most improved player, but got snubbed from it. But definitely in the conversation. Doc Rivers getting his 100th playoff win, career playoff win.
Yep.
There's a lot to be excited about. Tobias Harris playing what we all hope to see. James Harden, not what we all want, but nowhere near as bad as it was 3-4 weeks ago. It's really coming together. I'm excited to see it.
Question for you. I think we need to give Doc Rivers a little bit of credit because the issue of Matisse Thybulle's playing time and how they would make up for him not being in the starting rotation, how he would fit back in coming off the bench and all of that. That has not been a non-issue. So he's coached his way around that. How do you feel, though, that will portray itself coming into games 3 and 4 with Matisse unavailable in Toronto? You think that even matters? He only played 10 minutes tonight, obviously a big blowout. But do you feel like that might be come back to bite them or haunt them a little bit here going into game 3 and 4?
I say no because games 1 and 2, Danny Green started. Matisse didn't start. And I think that's easier going forward than shuffling up the lineup, figuring out who'll start in place of Matisse. So I think Doc Rivers that was the right call, and it's working so far. Games 1 and 2 is work. I think it'll continue to work going forward. And since Matisse can't play, he had 10 minutes tonight. Or game 2, as you said, those 10 minutes might go split them up between Shake and someone else. Maybe Maxey plays a little bit more, but maybe Harden plays a little bit more. I don't think that's as big of an issue or just something that Doc Rivers and the coaching staff has to figure out going forward since Danny Green has started. Yeah, I want to commend Doc for not playing DeAndre Jordan. That's what I want to commend him for.
He doesn't fit, right? Like, he does not fit in what they're doing right now. And on top of that, like, you got Doc Rivers, having, a bit of a hot seat trying to get this team to where they need to be. And obviously Nick Nurse being that young up-and-coming guy. I mean, not really, I guess he's not up-and-coming anymore. He already won a championship and he's won Coach of the Year and things of that nature, obviously linked to the Lakers job in some ways. But you got to give Doc credit for the way he prepared this team and, dealing with, some of the criticisms and adversity and putting the Sixers in the position that they're in. I think Matisse coming off the bench actually, as I've said in previous pods, fits really well because he gives them some energy. He gives them something that they, need off the bench, and the Sixers will have to make up for that when they go to Toronto. But are you really thinking the sweep? Like, that's really what your heart is telling you? Like, this series is over?
Again, this isn't Ben Barry being a homer. This isn't Ben Barry being real down on the Raptors. It's just the Raptors don't have anyone that can slow down Joel Embiid. No one at all. They're undersized. For them to slow down Embiid, they got a double and triple team that leaves 1 or 2 people open. Embiid has gotten better at passing out of those double teams. Unless Siakam, who Doc has used Embiid on a lot to slow him down, let Siakam and Fred go off. Maybe Barnes comes back, but they both have to go off for 30 plus for the Raptors to get a win, and I don't see that happening so far.
So many people make issues about the bench, Ben. Like, the bench hasn't even been a factor, and I guess you can attribute that to the fact that they've been opening up these big leads and whatnot, but the starters have been playing more minutes like we expected. Harden has been controlling the tempo, although he hasn't been the extra gear James Harden that some people had suspected. He was kind of playing coy and laying in the weeds a bit and had this extra gear or whatever. Like, that hasn't come to fruition, but he's setting guys up and controlling the tempo.
He is. And the Raptors they did outscore the Sixers bench in game 2. The Sixers bench had 13 points. I think the Raptors had 22. But the Sixers starters drew that much of a giant lead that it didn't matter. So, yeah.
Well, you said that this game it definitely kind of wasn't as exciting as game 1 or as some of the closer playoff games have been. But the Sixers had a 29-point lead in this one, but didn't quite have the benefit of being able to sit Joel Embiid for the fourth quarter and have the starters kind of relax and whatnot.
It's funny you say that.
What?
Game 1, they had that big lead, that giant lead, and Cliff, we were texting throughout the game, and I was like, yo, this is a wrap. Let's get this over so we can record this pod. And he's like, yo, it's the Sixers. They've blown a lot of fourth quarter leads this season. Like, chill out with all that. And they chipped away, but the Sixers built it back up. And as you said, like that has to be in every fan's like in the back of their mind.
Should we ignore that? Should that be something lost in the shuffle here with the victory?
It shouldn't be lost in the shuffle. I think that is something that the Sixers, the players, and the coaching staff have to think about. Like, you don't want to make this series longer than it needs to be. If you can get the Raptors up out of here and send them to Cancun at 4 games, do it. If you can do it at 5 games, do it. There's no reason the series needs to be 6 or 7 games. And you saw how chippy it got in game 2. So the longer the series got, like, you don't want to risk Embiid or Harden, anybody on the team just getting a flagrant 2, getting tic-tac technicals when you could have wrapped it up in 4 games. But game 6, Embiid gets 2 technicals or Harden gets a flagrant 2 and just stuff like that. The sooner you wrap it up, the less chances for all that to happen.
And let me just say this. I actually think Nick Nurse had a point with some of the points he made about Joel elbowing people and fouls not getting called and stuff like that. Because there were a couple
times. Danny Pommells, that's his Twitter, Instagram. Go in his comments.
Yo, I was like, dang, like some of those, Joel got away with a couple. He got away with a couple, but that is basketball. Refs are human. They don't see everything. But I feel like I am, as far as getting the Raptors out of here, I'm tired of seeing Nick Nurse whine. Like, it's only been 2 games. I'm tired of seeing him complaining, whining, making those ridiculous struggle faces on the bench. I'm just over his antics. And I guess it's just like, you try to come out and be, physical with Joel and like force the issue with Anunoby and Siakam and things like that. But I just love that it backfired on him and to see him, basically nothing he could do to solve the equation that was this Joel Embiid and the Sixers.
It is kind of funny to think about. It's
like, he whines.
It's comical. It's comical. He is whining. He's crying, but at least we know he's doing it because he has to find a team find a way for his team to get in it. He's not doing it because, like, it's a little bit of gamesmanship, I would say.
Oh my God, absolutely. I don't also felt uncomfortable or didn't like. I guess it wouldn't be a Sixers game without a Joel Embiid injury scare, but I don't like the fact that he's getting nicked up and then you can't hold the lead in order to get him some extra rest, leading into the Wednesday's game. So I think they missed the opportunity there. And obviously more he plays, the more instances like that can happen, but you have to kind of carpe diem the moments where you can sit him down and not have to bring him back and kind of cruise to victory. So
I hear you on that. If you go on Twitter, you'll see a bunch of people thinking that Embiid is flopping and things like that. I saw Kendrick Perkins tweet out like, "Why do so many people hate the Sixers?"
I did see that. Yeah.
Oh man. A bunch of people need a hug.
As people here in the content room have set me straight about, though, Embiid has been told to lessen the impact of some of the little bone injuries and little soft tissue and, knee injuries and things like that. So if he falls, it kind of spreads out the blow as opposed to like your knee, foot, ankle absorbing the impact of some of those, collisions and things like that. So,
all right. So that's what we'll say here in Philly. You know what the rest of the country that looks like?
What?
The other teams look like flopping.
Soft.
I had a question for you.
Yeah.
So went through this game through and through. And this game 1 was a lot more exciting because Tyrese Maxey went off. I would say that's the Tyrese Maxey game. This game was kind of like just slopping through mud at times because just how bad the Raptors half-court offense is.
Yeah, I think it was like 82-58 at one point.
Yeah, it was bad. So the games from the first weekend of the playoffs, which one did you find the most enjoyment of watching? And if you missed a game, which game did you hate that you ended up missing?
Oh, Celtics definitely enjoyed a lot. I mean, I'm married to a Celtics fan, so that always ratchets it up. And it came down to the last shot. And I enjoyed Kyrie putting on the show and all that. A game I missed. I didn't miss any games. I saw a little bit of every game. I didn't see all of the Pelicans. I did, and I was upset that the Heat blew out the Hawks. I wanted that to be a closer game, but
beat the brakes.
I also missed a little bit of the Warriors game. I did miss some of the Warriors game, and I like Jordan Poole. So
okay.
And he was doing nasty things on the bench. If you know,
risking it all.
Yeah, bro. So I thought that was funny because I didn't get to see all that. That was a long day of games, and that was the last game of them. So I didn't get to see all of that.
Thoroughly enjoyed the Nets Celtics game. That was so much fun to watch. That was so much fun to watch.
And he's flipping people off.
Names. I wasn't sure if Tatum got that shot off at the end. I thought Marcus Smart was
a long time. It was a long possession.
Before Tatum shot it, I thought Marcus Smart was about to take the worst shot in NBA history, but
Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart.
Oh yeah, congratulations to him. I wish I saw the end of the Grizzlies Timberwolves game. I wish I would have been able to watch the whole thing. I had some things going on, but I'm a big fan of Ja Morant and the Ant-Man. They're a lot of fun to watch, so I look forward to watching more of that.
No, I saw that game. That was a great game. And I was surprised with the way Minnesota met the challenge. And Ja was talking heavy too before that one. So and I just love this specific time of the year because number one, the NBA, it just ratchets up. Like the intensity is just like there's so many games. You're on TNT, you're on Comcast, NBC Sports Philly, you're on ESPN, you're flipping around, you're watching some of this, you're getting food, and it's just like so much excitement. It's just ratcheted up a little bit.
As you talk about all the channels the games are coming on, I need to talk to somebody from the NBA. You already laughing. You don't even know what I'm about to say. I got to talk to somebody.
You're making fun of me with the games part. That's what I'm laughing at.
Yo. Why are the Sixers on NBA TV on Wednesday? That's wildly disrespectful.
And
wildly disrespectful.
Bro, Gus Johnson, one of my favorite announcers, called the game on TNT tonight, but I missed it because obviously I was watching our broadcast. So I definitely was a little torn because I'm a big Gus Johnson fan. I met him once. He showed me a lot of love. So are you like that?
I enjoy Gus Johnson. I think wildly talented, very fun to watch. Just the NBA NBA TV broadcast. I know, like the Raptors, when it was Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan, playoffs came. They stayed on the NBA TV. They called them the NBA TV team. And I mean, Sixers got Joel Embiid, James Harden. They don't need to be on NBA TV. Put them on prime time like the other good teams.
That's definitely weak. But we'll be here every step of the way, regardless of what channel they are on. The Sixers Talk podcast will come to you after Game 3 and Game 4. Maybe there won't be a Game 5. Maybe we'll be moving on to the second round. We'll see.
Maybe, hopefully,
Ben Barry, Batman is on HBO Max. Are you going to tune in?
I'm going to watch it. I did see it in theaters opening night, but I am going to watch it again.
It looks good, man. I've seen it twice already, as you know. But I think the when I was scrolling through watching my other HBO Max shows, I saw that it would have finally arrived. I was like, brought back some good memories. So I think I'll be checking it out.
I was counting down the days. Better Call Saul comes back tonight as well. Looking forward to that. I got my tickets to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh, my boy is ready to go.
I watched the trailer for Thor: Love and Thunder earlier today. So
I didn't see that. I saw Natalie Portman. I saw he was talking about it, but I was kind of in between. My daughter had a softball game, so I was kind of getting after it.
Be one of those parents that look at something else on their phone.
I'm not saying I'm not that guy, but I wasn't at that. I wasn't at this game. It was a blowout though, anyway. So, but Ben, always a pleasure, bro. Let's run it back. How about it?
Wednesday night.
All right. You make sure you join us here on the Sixers Talk podcast, brought to you by Wilmington University. WilmU Works. For the man Ben Barry, I'm Danny Pommells. For our guy Noah Levick, make sure to check out his work on NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com. We're brought to you by Wilmington University. We'll see you next time.